Now that we have the official announcement of the Nintendo Switch 2, I think that this is basically a guarantee that we will be getting a Pokemon Gen 5 remake at some point soon in the future, as well as a Let's Go Johto game, because we know that Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee were the first official Pokemon games on the Nintendo Switch. So I think that we'll see a Let's Go Johto game on the Switch 2, which I think there's a lot they can do with a Let's Go Johto game. And onto the main topic of the video, guys, a Gen 5 remake on the Switch 2. And not only a Gen 5 remake, but also new Legends games. Now that they've introduced Legends games to the series, it basically just opens up a huge door for them to make a Legends game for every single region, basically. So I'm going to talk about which regions we could expect to see Legends games on the Switch 2, and then also the fact that a Gen 5 remake is basically guaranteed now. So for the Gen 5 remake, we know that on every major Nintendo console that releases, they usually put out a new generation of Pokemon, and then right after that, they follow it up with a remake of a previous generation. They've done this with the last 4 major Nintendo handheld consoles, and for example, on the Game Boy Advance, Gen 3 came out. Right after that, a Gen 1 remake came out. Then the DS, Gen 4 came out. Right after that, a Gen 2 remake came out. The 3DS, Gen 6 came out. Then a Gen 3 remake came out. And then finally on the Switch, we got Sword and Shield, so Gen 8. Then they followed that right up with Gen 4 remakes. So it's only logical to assume that on the Switch 2, after Gen 10, we're going to get Gen 5 remakes. And this also makes sense from a number standpoint too, because half of 10 is 5. So they're going to remake Gen 5 after Gen 10. So based on what I just said, I think that Gen 5 remakes are a guarantee throughout the Switch 2's lifespan. I think if there was a single game that I'd want Game Freak to make the most, it would definitely be Black and White 3. So I think that would be insane, guys. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about, obviously, is new Legends games, because if you think about it, they could pretty much do a Legends game for any legendary or mythical Pokemon, as well as any of the regions. We know that in most generations, there's multiple mythical Pokemon, so they could pretty much do multiple Legends games for each generation besides Gen 1 and 2. Most likely, we could probably expect a Gen 1 or a Gen 2 Legends game over the Switch 2's lifespan. I also wouldn't be surprised if they made a Legends Kyurem game instead of an actual Gen 5 remake. I do think that they would probably just do those as 2 separate games, but I also think that they would release a Legends Kyurem game that would have a completely different story and plotline than the original Black and White games, obviously. It wouldn't even have to be Kyurem. They could do a Legends game for Keldeo, for example. There's a lot of things we don't know about Keldeo. I could also see them doing a Legends Genesect game. Genesect is a really interesting Pokemon. It has a lot of lore behind it, so that would be really cool to find out more about that. And even a Legends Meloetta game. And then as for other Legends games, obviously a Legends Celebi is something that a lot of people would probably like. We've seen that concept all over YouTube. I think that could be super cool, as well as a Legends Mew. I feel like people would love a game that centers around Mew, so I think that would be a super good idea as well. But it's like I said, they could do a Legends Rayquaza, they could do a Legends Diancie, they could do a Legends Hoopa, they could do a Legends Marshadow. They could do one for every generation, like I said. So I think there's a lot to look forward to with the future of Pokemon games on the Nintendo Switch 2. And let me know which game that you guys would want to see the most, whether it's Black and White remakes, new Legends games, Let's Go Johto. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys got to the end of the video, comment down below Pokemon 2025, and I'll see you in the next one.